Good morning, everybody. Happy new week. Today I'm coming to you guys from Cairns in our apartment. The aircon is on and we are fresh off our Great Barrier Reef adventure yesterday. Not sure if you guys got a chance to check out my video of catching monster trevally. I did a bit of a mock-up episode of chasing monsters. I don't know if any of you guys have watched that show with Cyril and so my son and I, that's our favorite show, and we've actually watched it 2 times over, both seasons. And I thought yesterday was a perfect opportunity to do our own little episode, well, for him, because he wasn't with us, and the goal that we set in the morning was achieved. So check out that footage on my personal timeline and some of the photos of the massive trevally that I caught. So I'm still in kind of summer mode here. I need to get myself all reset, nails redone today, because tomorrow and this week is Cairns and Mackay's turn before we finally head back home 3 weeks away from home. So this morning's topic is going to be about overcoming perfectionism. A lot of you guys, a lot of people that I meet often can pride themselves into being a perfectionist. Hey Viv, actually what I've got to do is I've got to share my live into the other couple of groups that we've got going on. I'm actually on the iPad right now and my little laptop is on here. And then we're going to start off talking about this. These are some of the topics I brainstormed that I want to talk to you guys about over the cruise with Mum that we went along to. And I've got all my information right here on my phone. Everything is portable and on hand when I'm away. All right, here we go. I've just done all my share. And then we're going to talk about this topic because... well, let's kind of define perfectionism first of all. And this is not my definition. This is something that I have realized, and a mentor of mine about probably 9 years ago, actually in my NLP training, she said, guys, perfectionism equals insanity and looping, okay? It doesn't get you anywhere because you're constantly trying to refine something that you don't even know if it's going to work or not work. And over the period of time, there's been some realizations about all of this, and also productivity, because obviously productivity is what gets people to results, right? So I always say, we don't focus, in all of my events, I always say, never, we're not going to focus here on perfectionism. Instead, we're going to focus on progress, because progress ultimately will help and refine everything. So good morning to everyone who's joining on our Monday morning live, 9 a.m. call in Melbourne. However, today, right now, at my end, it's 8 a.m. up here in Cairns, and it's hot and stinky, and it's pissing down with rain. Well, it has been pissing down with rain. Yesterday it didn't for our Great Barrier Reef adventure. So I'm refreshed for another week. We've got 2 more weeks of national tour. This week we're in Cairns and Mackay, and we're going back home finally to see my kids after 3 weeks, and then we've got Melbourne and Geelong next week. All right, so let's go through. I've got my notes here on my phone in terms of what I have experienced, researched, read, heard from other people, and maybe it will get you to wipe out perfectionism out of your strategies that you're running and focus on productivity. So number 1 point is that the world rewards productivity, not perfectionism, right? I'm sure if you were employed by someone or are employed, or you're getting something done where you're going to get rewarded for it, you ain't going to get rewarded if you're being a perfectionist, because people want to progress to the next stage. So they want to get shit done, and therefore why they reward productivity to get the work done. Yes, it doesn't have to always be perfect. By the way, being a perfectionist makes other people totally uncomfortable because they go, I can never be that. I could never be as polished or as good or whatever it is. And this is why often I have always said to people, even though I am the ultimate 48 author and help people write books, which people can run a huge perfectionism pattern when it comes to releasing a book, because oh my God, it has to be so immaculate without any mistakes in it. Yet the most famous entrepreneurs out there and people that I have followed myself have errors in their books and mistakes. So if you are in that space and you do write material and all that kind of stuff, I'm sure leaving a mistake or something in your work is not going to be the end of the world, but also it's going to get you out there, and it's going to if you're not doing it on purpose. And this is what sometimes people can assume, oh, this is crap because it was that. No one does anything or releases something imperfect on purpose. They're only doing the best they can with what resources they have at the time. What do you think my opinion is of what I used to release 6-7 years ago? Now I look at it and go, oh my God, Nat, you were such an amateur. Like the past version of me, you were such an amateur. Your books were written so, in a different tone, or no way would I write that way. But at the time, I thought that was the best I could do. Good morning, Andrula. You're welcome. Yes, I love this topic as well, because so many times, every single half-day workshop, I call out the perfectionists in the audience and go, if you're doing this, stop it, because all you're doing is just looping. So the point number 1 is the world rewards productivity over perfectionism. All right, next one. Productivity can only be achieved through imperfection. Okay, productivity can only be achieved through imperfection. So when I started out doing any of the brands, anything that has grown into like a signature system or a product or all that sort of stuff, it started off totally imperfect. It actually only started off as an idea in my head, and often I talk about people, actually, if you can visualize what you want to bring out into the marketplace, the strategy should always be to first, number 1, sell it, and number 2, build it. And even when you build it, once you've sold it, of course, this is going to be most likely your first prototype or the pilot of whatever that it is that you're doing. And that's exactly how I say to our story, how I launched the licensing of the Ultimate Weight Loss Intellectual Property, and also how I launched the Ultimate 48-Hour Author Program 5.5 years ago. I had the idea, I could imagine it, I could have a picture in my head. I created what my offer was going to be, then I sold it, and when I had the first few people join, I went, shit, I got to get my act together and put it all together. Was it perfect the first time? No. However, productivity and moving towards it was, what helped me refine. Do I think I made a ton of mistakes now in hindsight, about to go to the 25th retreat? Of course. But every time something was imperfect, it made me get to productivity to make it and refine it and kind of clear that out and go forth. So each and every single time, even authors who came to my retreat 6 months ago, and then they came to Crew just recently at the February retreat, they said, geez, Nat, she goes, this didn't happen at our retreat. This didn't happen in this retreat. You've refined and, just tightened it all up. But that's because productivity can only be achieved through imperfection, which was our point number 2. Productivity can only be achieved through imperfection. All right, next one. So here's how the cycle goes. Okay, so there is 5 different stages, right, of how we refine things. Okay, so first you make a decision. Am I going to do this? And then you go. So let's just use the example that I was using. Deciding I'm going to run the 48-hour author retreat, right, without anything around me. Okay, so then the number 2 was act. Okay, so step number 2 is act. So how am I going to do this? How am I going to let people know that I'm going to host these particular retreats? Okay, so nothing happens. If you're in decision mode only, well, you haven't decided, you're in thinking mode. That's probably the thinking, churning, sitting under the surface mode. But when you make that decision, I want to do this, then the next step is you take act. The number 3 steps is once you've taken action and you've done something, you obviously step back from it and you learn. And you learn from what worked well, what didn't work well, you gain your feedback from other people, and then you figure out what it is that you are going to refine, okay? How can I do this better next time? and then of course you repeat, okay? And then, so when I finished my very first retreat, I went through to the last stage, and then I had another decision to make. Am I going to host another retreat, and when is that going to happen? And then act, learn, refine, repeat. So decide, act, learn, refine, repeat. Act, decide, act, learn, refine, repeat. Okay, so you go through those 5 stages and you keep getting better and better and better. And so when you see people out there who are successful, who are doing amazing things, who just seem so polished, you ask them the question 5 or 10 years ago, what was their program like? What did it feel like? What did it look like? And they'll all just go, oh my God, I'm almost embarrassed to even think how it used to be back then. But that's not what they used to think back then. So each time it's better and better and better. And actually there was one of my clients who said to me, recently, Nat, I could never, do all the things you do, like, when you're onboarding your new client, this email comes and this communication comes, and like all of the systems are obviously set up, but that didn't exist, even 2 or 3 years ago. So all of it have been just additional steps that we have refined and repeated and added in, and now they have a really awesome, cycle of start to finish. Of course, the system is there. All right, so only moving through imperfect can we achieve perfect, right? And at the end of the day, is anything really perfect? Yeah, is anything really perfect? It depends on the person. For what I think is perfect, someone else might go, oh my God, it totally isn't. Or another person might go, yeah, like I could never be that way. So perfectionism is kind of like each to their own, whatever their opinion is. And of course, those people that have a match with you will ultimately end up working with you because they believe there's a good mix of perfection and imperfection. Because perfectionism can really push people away because they might think I could never achieve that standard, right? So it actually makes you more approachable. That was one of my points coming up later on. I believe being imperfect makes you a lot more approachable and real to people. So actually, if you come across too perfect, maybe you need to bring in a couple of strategies that make you a little bit imperfect along the way. People like to know that it's okay to make a mistake, right? Back when I started in my coaching school, I know I remember this, and this was taught to us. Their manuals were filled with a lot of mistakes throughout them. And they actually said, look, we do that for a purpose. And that purpose is that we don't want you to feel that you have to be perfect to reach this level of success in your businesses and vice versa. And I kind of thought, you know what, that's really cool, because it's exactly how I felt. And that's how I've progressed to also run my business. That, yep, I'm doing everything I can. I'm not making errors or mistakes or putting something out there that I don't think is good enough. I'm just making things that I know today, right now, in 2019, are the best that I can do. If we have this conversation again in 5 years' time, that might be a completely different conversation, or I could be coming from a different perspective. Okay, let's look at the next one. Okay, so I already said perfectionism equals looping and insanity. So let's go on to the next one. Escape it. Okay, so escape it by just getting going and doing what feels right to you, not to others. Okay, so this was a really important point. What feels right to you? If something doesn't feel right and you're only doing to please other people, then you're not operating from an authentic and aligned kind of space. So I always say, do what feels right, do what you know is your best work, and keep moving towards progress. Don't skip steps. Like I know if I ever cut corners on anything, I know that I'm cutting corners, right? So I always say, if you know wholeheartedly you have done the best you could. You didn't get out there to hurt anyone or release something that you knew could have been done better, then that's enough. That's enough for now. So please, please, please do what feels right to you, not to others. And as time progresses, you're going to learn more and more and more how to refine and repeat, and then decide to go through the cycle once again. All right, so I talked about imperfection makes you more approachable. Okay, imperfection gives permission to others to be imperfect, right? Imperfection gives permission to others to be imperfect. And that's really cool because we are surrounded by technology evolving and everything, looking so professional and all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't start out that way. As I said, years ago, businesses that are around now, super successful, were just a bundle of mess. And that's exactly what everyone who starts out in their own business or who's a solopreneur trying to do it all on their own to begin with, that it may not have the resources. Now, think about it sometimes, if something looks imperfect, where that person may be in their life or their journey, have they got the resources to be able to, make something look so whiz-bang? I remember in my early days, the best I could do, because I could not afford a ton of graphic design and all that kind of stuff to make me look so professional and all that. I thought, I'll put it in an Excel spreadsheet, my tables of value. Actually, I've got one here to show you guys. Like things like these, like for example. So my offerings, like here's my branding, all the pretty colors and all the graphic design, or like my book publishing packages, like they're all designed like that. In the early days, I had no resources to be able to do that. So all I would go into Excel and I would just, create something within there, smack my logo onto it, print it off, laminate it still, and it still kind of had that feel that, it was an official document. But again, it wasn't something that I had the funds or the ability or the knowledge to now know how to create the way it is created right now. So, and that's okay, because I did what I could with the resources I had at the time. Okay, so just make sure that you are taking the next steps and doing the best you can with what you've got. All right, so what looks perfect was hugely flawed and imperfect when it began. Okay, so evolution happens because we make mistakes and we fall on our ass, and then you'll learn, oh my God, I shouldn't have made that decision, or I shouldn't have said that way. We learn from our mistakes, and that's why humanity and technology and everything has come what it is today, is because someone stuffed up along the way. Someone stuffed up and they made a mistake or made a poor choice, and they learned it. Often we don't learn as much from just success onto perfectionism. Where we learn the most from is when we stuff up and we make a poor decision, or we get feedback from other people that something wasn't quite right. Now, I want to talk about that, collecting feedback from people, because sometimes collecting feedback from people can be confronting, or can be positive and all that kind of stuff. But please don't take the feedback of just one person to mean the overall that you've done something completely wrong. So when I look at my feedback forms, good morning, Trish. When I look at my feedback forms from retreats and other things that I have done, I look at the overall feedback. I look at, okay, was this, was this positive? Was this, does this need improvement? All that kind of stuff. And if I have just one person say something that, might be like negative or an improvement suggestion or all that kind of stuff, I don't implement just because one single person has said one single thing. So it has to be a pattern that you have to see across the board if you're looking at feedback forms for you to, and yet people still can choose to dwell on that one little thing that might have been said in the feedback. So I would say look at the overall, and if there's some kind of pattern that's emerging, how can you improve and make that better? Don't dwell on the one negative comment or whatever it is across the 99% of amazing glowing feedback on what you have done and all that sort of stuff. So just be mindful, you know, who you listen to, because sometimes other people can have suggestions of how they would have done it, how they would have organized something, but they are not doing what you're doing. So you control everything. You choose to take it all on board, but then pick and choose what you want to refine, you know, and knowing what you know serves people, right? If you know it serves people a certain way and someone has said otherwise, don't worry about it. Just keep going. If it becomes a bit of a pattern across a group of people that are saying, no, you know, this should have been done this way, or the break should have been longer or shorter, or whatever it is, then it's worthwhile having a look. So I really highly encourage you guys to focus on productivity, on getting shit done, you know, and the biggest thing behind productivity is the small steps and the consistency that requires to get to an end goal, because we all have a ton of tasks to get done in our life, whether it's our personal, our relationships, our businesses, our self-development, our health, all that kind of stuff. We have a lot of things to be done, but productivity is always where you are going to see yourself become. It is through productivity that you start to ooze perfection, right? Ooh, that's a new one. I didn't get that one on. So it is through productivity that you start to ooze perfection by ticking your lists off every day, you know, doing all the bits and pieces. I have got my little list here noted down of what I need to get done this morning, because it's Monday, you know, the weekend just happened. There was a whole lot of stuff happening till Saturday. And yesterday we chose to like switch right off from the world and go fishing at that Great Barrier Reef, and it was a great reset point. But today I'm walking in, I'm going, oh shit, there's 50 emails, you know, because for one 24-hour period, you know, I chose not to answer any emails and not to do anything, and that's again choice. When you choose to act is also another thing. You know, do you choose to act consistently in smaller chunks, or do you choose to act, you know, in a bigger chunks? And I can tell you which one's better. The smaller chunks always make everything a lot more manageable. Eating a big elephant starts with one bite at a time, and this is what I always do. Consistency is absolutely king and will always get you to the outcome as long as you're taking steps, but in at consistent time frames and chunks. So productivity, maybe I could share a couple of productivity hacks since we've moved away now from stop being freaking perfect, focus on productivity. All right, so I like to, how do I stay productive? Well, as you guys know, I of course use my own planner. Guess what? Actually, let me know what you guys think. You know this planner that I've been bringing out now for the last 4 years. 2020, I'm actually, because I've got so many more events than appointments, and because I always just created this planner for myself, I thought, why not, now I'm going to shrink it. I think I'm going to give an A5 version a go. I know people love the A4, but then there's others who've been asking for an A5. But I'm not going to bring out an A4 in 2020. I think I'm just going to do an A5 version. That's a little bit smaller and lighter because they're 800 grams. Try carrying them on planes and everywhere. So I'm thinking of bringing out an A5 in 2020 because I don't have as many things filled out in terms of, I used to have a lot of one-on-one and I had to write so much in that kind of stuff in the planner. But this is what keeps me consistent. I've got my to-do list at the bottom, top 6 to-do list. I've got exercised, yes or no. I've got meditated, yes or no. So all of these things, whenever I open my planner every day, I like, okay, have I done that? Have I done that? Have I done that? And they go, and consistently each and every day, of course, taking a couple of days off a week, you know, where I don't need to do exercise. I can just run on really spontaneous strategy throughout the day. So that's how I stay consistent. I have got this like next to me every single time, and go through it. What else do I do? Well, I make sure that how do I stay productive? I make sure, I get my exercise done and the meditation. That actually makes me a lot more productive. So this morning I actually even didn't know if I was going to come on this live. I don't want to set an alarm clock. This morning is my last day before I have to do all the events this week. And I thought, I'll just see how I wake up and all that. And then I did wake up way early, and then I went, okay, meditation, exercise, all that kind of stuff, get it all sorted. This live, my author's live, all of that, put it all through. And then my week has started, and actually by 11 o'clock, I'll be on top of absolutely everything. And then I'll go chill out again for a few hours before we meet at Cairns office for dinner tonight. How else do I stay productive? So I make sure that I have regular health and mind exercises or things that I do on a daily basis, which in turn makes me want to complete my tasks. And I always believe, people say, what's your morning routine? Making my bed in the morning is the most important thing that I could do for every day. The days when I don't make my bed, like say on a weekend or, it's a Friday or I'm super tired, they're the days that I end up being the least productive. But when I make my bed in the morning, on my normal, working days, it makes me feel like I have achieved that very first task, which means every task comes forth after all of those. And I'm a big believer in, getting the day set and started in that way. So there you go, guys. I hope some of this has been of value. Let me know what was one thing that I said in this live that perhaps made you think a little bit differently about perfectionism, and also how you can become a little bit more productive in your everyday life. And and I continuously read, watch, and listen to podcasts to do with productivity and time hacks and organization and all of that. I don't know, a lot of people watch Marie Kondo, and I was like, I had not known how to fold my clothes properly in drawers. I'd done everything that she does normally around the house, and when I learned this new strategy, I was like a changed woman. Oh my God. And I went around the whole house, changed all the clothes, and then I became more productive and saved more time and wear more clothes because I could see them in the drawers. So I love picking up tips from other experts. I watch them, I observe them, I see what works well for me, what I like, and then I implement it. And there's just so much out there. So you got to do the thing that, sparks joy, she says, when it comes to productivity. But at the end of the day, just get shit done. And then other people 10 years later will think, oh my God, you're so perfect. Mwah. All right, guys, I'm going to go. We have a set to have the biggest half-day event in history of Ultimate 48-Hour Author. Tomorrow we have 50 people coming to Cairns. I've got 3 crew organized, so I've got a lot of things to prepare for today, and Mackay is getting just as big. So we might actually see more people through these 2 events than the 3 that we had in Brizzy, Sunshine Coast and Gold Coast last week. So it will be focused effort, and then home time at the end of the week out of Townsville. Actually, we're driving back to fly home from Townsville. So have an amazing week. Go and smash it out. Focus on productivity. Focus on progress over perfectionism, because that is looping and insanity. And I want you guys to get all your goals and dreams, and smash it out. Bye.